Welcome back to Secrets of the Opposite Sex. As you know, last week I had the fellas on to discuss the challenges they're facing in the dating world in their 30s, approaching 40. So this week it's only right that we have some equally amazing ladies on to give their point of view. Ladies, why don't you introduce yourself to the people?
My name is Jessica. I am 38 and I live in Baltimore, Maryland.
My name's Mia. I am 39 and I live in Dallas, Texas, and I'm big single.
Come on, big single.
Hello, my name is Danielle Kelly. I am 37 years old and I'm currently dating. Exclusively dating.
Oh, okay.
You got to add that in, right? Because
you really do.
You have to definitely, and I had this conversation with him for a very long time. I need to know what are we actually doing? We need to be on the same page. Mm-hmm. Are we dating today? Are we going to, STK and then I'm going, to Brooklyn Chop House with someone else tomorrow? So I need to just make sure we're on the same page.
I love one dick for you, girl.
Let's be clear.
So special.
Okay, if we pull questions from the relationship and dating party game, Secrets of the Opposite Sex. And so I have to ask you, just like I asked the fellas last week, starting off, because we got to get this out of the way so we all know what we're dealing with. What are your toxic traits? And do you tell these men up front, or is it like a scavenger hunt? They gotta find it.
My toxic trait is I baby people. So I don't know if it's toxic to them, but for me, it's what ends up just fucking shit up. Because I want to be everybody's mom. So I want to take care of you and baby you. And the next thing you know, I'm exhausted and then I get angry and then I take that shit out on you. Mm-hmm. I'm very hot and cold. That's probably the best way to put it.
I think I'm like that too. Very nurturing, sometimes to a fault. Want to know your life. Last dude I dated that I actually really cared about. It was a lot of that, me working with him through things that he was going through. Meanwhile, my life was trashed, had a lot going on. And I think that me coming out the gate being so very giving in that way and very focused on him and not me, I probably pushed him out the door. Also just receiving good energy, not feeling like it's genuine, feeling like I'm the only genuine person in the situation and playing it that way. But then once I do start feeling oh, okay, maybe it is genuine, it might be too late.
You know what's funny? When y'all were talking, I was just thinking about, and said that this has to be a toxic trait, wanting to be nurturing and to take care of people and do good for them. Because usually if there's reciprocity, they should want to do that for you too. So there should be balance. Right. But one thing I notice is when I'm talking to my younger girlfriends that are still in their 20s, they ain't doing it. They're all about me, take care of me, and they giving the bare minimum in return.
They are so.
But they got it. Listen, they got me in though.
I gotta give it to them for that. I swear that mentality that they have, I'm not even mad at it because it's working for them. They're getting all the benefits.
Yeah. For sure.
But the men complain about that. That's the crazy part. It's you're complaining about all these women and how they feel this way, but those are the women that you're choosing. So what do you want? I'm confused. I give up.
The men that are complaining, they low-key like that shit.
Yes.
They like the chase. They want to, just like women. Yeah, we want to find a man and save him, but they want to okay, you know what? I'm gonna get her to change.
My toxic trait, and I actually have been in therapy working on myself, besides other things, is definitely ghosting. I will just pull back when I feel like you aren't either giving me attention, or if I have to repeat myself more than once to let you know what's bothering me. You heard me the first time, so I'm just gonna exit, because if you're not listening, so what's the point? You're talking to the wall, so you might as well treat them how we treat, the buildings when we walk by.
Wait, that's toxic? I didn't know that was toxic.
Apparently it is. You know what it is?
I've done that.
So Mia, I'll dig even deeper for you, right? I actually realized that it is toxic because we go into situations like we want communication, right? We want communications from these men. So if they're not communicating back to us, it's like, oh well, F it, because you heard me. Instead of saying like, hey, I'm hurting, like this hurts my feelings. I don't like this. How can we fix this, moving forward? And if you can't, follow through and you don't want to fix or you don't want to communicate, then it's just like, okay, well, see you later. But I'm going to tell you now, I'm going to see you later. I'm probably not going to see you later.
Right.
Right. Because usually I remember I was dating someone and he wasn't communicating with me. Like literally a week went by and we didn't speak. And we were supposed to go out the following week. So he kind of ghosted me. But the day that we were supposed to go out, I didn't hear from him. So, the meme that they always have, like, oh, if I don't hear from you the day we're supposed to go out, I'm not going. Mm-hmm. Right. So he actually hit me the day after and said to me, oh, it's not me. I've been going through a lot. I'm 37. You can tell me you're going through a lot. Life is life and for everybody.
I don't feel like that's toxic though, to like cut to, because if I feel like that's just reciprocating energy. I don't necessarily feel that's toxic. That's just
none
like
of my business.
Whatever you're showing me what it is, so I'm gonna just move on
accordingly. But I also unfollow too. Like I'm cut you off.
We're gonna get to that question, girl. We're gonna get to that question,
girl.
And he really felt a way about it because a mutual friend hooked us up. So he went to my mutual friend and was like, oh, I feel so bad. I really did like her. She was like the girl I like actually want, but it's just like, you're not communicating with me. And I don't know that life is life. Life is life for me too. I'm not gonna stop my life and ask you what's going on if you can't simply just have a dialogue. Like to me, in my opinion, I think I opened the door for everyone to come to me if there's an issue. So if you can't, then there's no need to
none of my business.
Anything, a friendship or a follow. Like, why are you following my social media? For what?
Yeah, that's
weird. It's like stalking. It's the new age of stalking because my page is open. So let me just unfollow you and remove you as my follower.
How would you describe your current dating journey and the challenges that you're encountering?
I came from a situation where I didn't work. If I wanted to, I could have. And when I did work, it was like, just keep your money. And then I'm here. And granted, I do everything for myself. Like I own my house, everything is fine. But he would be here a lot. And I'm like, bro, you got to contribute if you're going to be here. But then at the same time, I'm also the kind of person that I like my space. So I wouldn't want him to contribute too much because when I want you to go, I want you to go.
Right.
So that started to cause a lot of problems. But I think just in general, like I'm starting to learn that things really need to be equal on both ends, like financially, just mentally. Like you both have to be willing to listen to each other and listen to hear each other and then take accountability. Because a lot of times I think you get angry and you just don't hear what the other person, like you really don't take in what the other person's saying. So you can't fix it just because they say one thing that offends you and then it's like you just put the wall up. So that has been one thing that I'm trying to learn how to do now, is take the feedback that I'm given when things aren't at their best and use that. But in your character are a big deal. And when I say finances, it's not necessarily you have to be rolling in dough, but you have to have like goals and you have to have things set and just at least be financially fucking literate. You can't be in these streets popping bottles for the fucking gram.
Oh God.
Have some fucking sense. And especially in DC.
Oh
yeah.
Yeah.
I also won't date anybody moving forward. Like he doesn't have a kid, but after him, like I would never date somebody who does not have a kid. I don't know if I want to have a kid anymore or if I can. I mean, I'm just older, but if it doesn't happen, I don't need you coming to me 5 years from now being like, oh, you couldn't give me a baby. Like, so to me, that's actually like a deal breaker. I would not date somebody who does not have a fucking kid.
And I don't want to date somebody who does not want kids. And that's funny that you said listen to hear a second ago, just because I always say, and I always talk to my family and friends, and anytime I'm talking to someone, I always talk about listening to understand and not to respond. That is a huge thing for me. I don't like people cutting me off when I speak. You didn't even let me get my whole thought out. Like, hear me first before you decide to respond to me. And don't just respond quickly, just off of what you heard. Actually process what I'm saying, and I'm gonna do the same so that we can move in a productive way whenever we're having this conversation.
I think I always had a challenge of finding someone my age, or at least around my age group. I think the youngest I went was 15 years.
Oh
Ooh.
wow.
I love that for you. Cheers again.
Ooh.
Right?
One dick
Yeah,
and
that's a
15
push.
years.
But it was short-lived, and then before that it was 10 years. So I was like, oh, 10 years isn't too bad. But I'm like, no, it is, because my sister and I are 12 years apart. So it does not make any
Yeah.
sense. And I
Right.
realized that, right? So I just ended up like, you know what? I finally found someone older than me, and he gets it. He communicates. And I'm just like, oh wow, like, oh shoot. But even in that, I had to kind of work on myself. Like I said, my toxic trait is kind of like, it's like, he got out of something not too long ago, and there was still a little bit of a challenge in the communication department. And when I would tell him like, hey, like, I don't like certain things, and it's just like maybe like a month or two later he would do it again, and it's just like, I'm repeating myself again, and I'm trying to communicate, but then it's like it was so early on, it's kind of just like I could kind of just walk away and just be like, whatever. But because I'm working on myself, and because I think that he's older, and even him, he's working on himself. And I think we're just working separately and together to kind of figure out what's the next steps.
How much older is he?
4 years, not that much older.
Oh,
That's good.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's a good range.
It's just going backwards. When you're dating someone 4 years younger, it's like, yeah, no, what water are you sipping?
The funny
Mm.
part is the guys that I dated that were older, like cause most recently I went all the way up to like 44, and I was just like, are you 44 or are you 24? Cause it felt like
Right.
I couldn't tell the difference,
Right.
Yeah,
Same,
Mhm.
same issues,
Yeah.
same
yeah.
game. Like
Like I
it's
said, they're
Yeah.
all stupid. I'm
like
gonna say this
nobody
like
ever
10
want to sit down
times.
and behave. Like nobody want to
Right. You know what I used to say that to Jess. I feel like, you guys are just real stupid. You're not gonna mature until you're like 50.
I don't even think they do then. I think they're
Hello?
innately like
They don't.
just not
Is there an age?
curious.
They don't.
You can't even put an age on it at this point.
Yeah, exactly. No, they're
Right.
like innate. Like when I see some of the stuff that my nephews do, and then I see like what my brother or like my dad, it's just dumb shit. And it's like the silliest stuff. But then I'm like, no,
Right.
you guys are just like, it's just within you. Like you can't help it. So I try to sympathize with it a little bit because some of the shit they can't really help.
I need an example. I need just one example they can't help. Because
So
everything is a choice.
So my stepdad, who is the loveliest human being in the whole wide world, he's 80. He does this thing where he puts his dish next to the sink. He does not put it inside the sink. It drives my mom absolutely batshit fucking crazy. My nephew, who is 12, does the same thing. But it's like little things like that it's just like a very successful grown-ass man who's done amazing things with his life, and you can't fucking get it. And then
Right.
you're 12. You might have face planted on to something skating 2 hours ago. Like they do the same thing. So I just gotta chalk it up to them just being fucking dumb.
That was a good example. Never mind.
Yeah.
Can you share some reflections or lessons that you wish you would have known going into your 30s?
I wish I would have focused on myself, whether it's mentally, physically, in my career, and let whatever was gonna happen come.
Happy. Mhm.
But I think even society low-key puts this thing like when you're like 29, it's like, oh my God, you turned 30. And especially back then, because social media wasn't really a thing. So you couldn't see other women in their 50s and in their 60s, like
Mhm.
doing amazing things. Like we're low-key like right on the cusp of, we come from the generation where we all thought we were going to be married at 25 with kids at
27.
26, 27.
Girl.
But when it didn't happen at 29, you're like,
What the fuck?
the fuck is this?
39.
This is not what we signed up
Hello.
for. Like, and you have society telling you like, oh, you should have a kid by now, and
Okay.
you should
Girl.
do this. So I wish I would have just focused on myself and my journey, and let what was for me come to me, and not been so focused on forcing what was for me.
I feel like men put pressure on you too. I was in New Orleans last week just to go, and we went to Frenchman Street to hear some music, and this old guy started talking to me, and He had his ring on. He was married. We just were having conversation, and he asked me how old I was, and I told him. And then he said, "Well, you haven't been married before. You don't have kids. You," and it was almost like I feel pressure every time I hear that, every single time. And he's not the only one. Every guy I meet, it's like, whoo, you're an anomaly. You're a unicorn. You're this, you're that. Why don't you have those
Thank
things?
you. I was about to
What's
say that.
wrong with you? Well,
Yeah.
no, I feel like the younger ones, those are the ones that are like, oh, why don't you? What's wrong with you? Are you crazy? But the older ones, they don't really approach it like that. They're just like, well, do you want to be married? They pose those
Right.
questions. Do you want to be married? Do you want to have kids? Are you focused on your career? They kind of dig a little deeper than the other people who just look at it, at surface level and say, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" Which is annoying.
I think for me, I was single going into my 30s. So, but actually got out of a really bad relationship before that. So it was more so like I was already focused on me. Jess, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna just have fun. I was just like, I'm just gonna live my life. And I think I got more of my feelings when I turned 35. But like at 30, I was just like, it was a free fall. It was like, you know what, this is so much better. My friends are better. I'm solid in my friendships, my family. I was just enjoying life pretty much. So I think that's what I would even give advice to the younger version of me. Like you said, focus on yourself. Don't focus on these men or the peer pressure of society of getting married and having kids by 30.
Do any of you regret not having kids up like before this point?
No.
Because I absolutely do not. Like I could not imagine having a kid in
That's
my fucking 20s.
like not in my for sure.
No.
Girl.
Right, like, woo,
I mean, but
My
yeah, like,
20s
but
would
you
I'd have
know,
been down
like,
bad.
11.
yeah, but like, just like the way that people make it seem like if you don't like, I mean, technically at 35, it's a geriatric pregnancy. Like that's what they call it. And I'm just always curious because obviously we're all in like the same age range, but it's just like I'm just making sure I'm not the only person that's like, okay, yeah.
No, I even feel like I was
No.
a better auntie with my second nephew because I had more experience, like more life experience, a little bit more money, more like,
Right.
more knowledge. Like I just felt like I was more mature by the time he came into the world. And I was
Right.
just so fresh and just really young when my first nephew was born. So yes, I can't imagine like those being mine. Like and being up
Mhm.
there and you with me 24/7, can't give you back. Like,
Mhm.
whew,
Right.
Mhm.
can't imagine it. Can't
I
imagine.
don't know if I don't regret it. It's like, well, did I miss my mark? Did I miss my chance to do so? These men are not cooperating. Like, is me waiting on a husband to have kids the wrong thing to do? Like, I've had all those thoughts. And I guess now, especially since I'm closer to 40, it's like, okay, kind of like what y'all were saying earlier, just letting things happen the way that they are supposed to happen and living in the now, and not focusing on the future or the past. I think going back to the question, coming into my 30s, I think that's what I would have done differently. Just focus on the present and not be so worried about what's going to happen, what's going to happen, or is something bad going to happen? And I was really focused a lot on the bad things that can happen instead of expecting good things to happen.
Oh my
I've changed
God.
my mindset so much in the last like 2 years. I'm always reaffirming myself. What I think about, I bring about. Just I let things flow to me. Like that kind of stuff keeps me on the up and up. And I wish that I was thinking about those things when I was turning 30, and living just in the present and shit. Sometimes now, not focusing on like, oh, I should have had a kid back then, and then I wouldn't be worried about trying to have a kid today or at 40. But yeah, just constantly just reassuring myself that I'm right where I'm supposed to be.
I feel like I was born to have like multiple children. I wanted 3. Now it's like 1 or 2, right? Even I was even at a point where I was thinking about freezing my eggs, like going to the doctor and everything. And then I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna let God handle what he needs to handle. Stop thinking so negatively. I have an older sister. So we have a big gap, right? My older sister's 10 years apart. My younger sister's 12 years apart. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I wouldn't worry too much about it because my older sister just had a child at 39. And she is heaven sent. And, you know, she also, that's the one person I vent to every day. And she told me, like, don't worry about it. It'll happen on your time. So I'm telling you the same thing. Like, I think, especially now, especially because we're getting closer to 40, we're financially stable, you know?
Right.
And I feel like we're more mature now.
Right.
Because
That's
I was
true.
like, I was just like Jess. I think that's why we came so close. I was a little tomboy back in the day. You gave me a kid, I probably would have been in school with them or detention too. Like, so I think I'm more mature now more than ever.
Right, for sure. Thank you for that too.
Okay, wait. Also, one more thing. One of my best friend's moms had her at 44. Another one of my best friend's moms had her at 43. And my godbrother, his sister, had her first kid at 42 and her second kid at 45.
Oh, wow.
So,
Oh,
yeah.
wow. Okay.
Period.
Yeah.
So you know what?
And-
this is what we do. I guess this is what I've kind of been doing too, like just preparing myself, like eating better, you know, taking care of myself. You know, breast cancer
Right.
was really heavy in my family, like my mom, my grandmother, my aunts, my father, they all had cancer. So I'm very like, I'm working out. I really cut back on drinking. And I like to go, y'all know I like to go out though, but you know,
dance hall queen.
Me too.
right. But I definitely try to take way better care of myself now, because look, we in our childbearing ages, we getting ready to be mommies, ladies. So we got to be ready
with money and sense.
Period.
Bingo. And a good mean.
Give our kids a soft
I
life,
ain't doing it by myself.
soft life,
Yes.
where they can communicate with us, not like we couldn't with our parents.
Bingo.
That is so big too. That is such a big point. You nailed it.
Yeah.
Okay. So what advice would you give to other women in similar situations who might feel the same weight of like a biological clock or that are struggling with dating?
Everything works out the way it's supposed to. Even when I talk to my kids at school, and so they're all college age like student athletes, and they'll be talking and I'm just listening to their problems. I'm like, you guys don't have a fucking clue.
No clue.
No problems are.
Oh, life is coming.
And I tell them all the time, I'm like, you know what? Just have faith in the timing of your life. Like, what is for you is going to be for you. And I read something recently, and it was just like, we're always worried about the bad. And when you were talking about like, Mia, when you said something, it made me think about this, but it's like, we're always worried about the bad. But if you really think about how many bad days you have out of a whole year, like really fucked up days where you're just like, nah, I'm completely over it. It's probably a handful. I would just tell people, like, you really just have to have faith in the timing of your life. And even if you're not the most religious person, it's just about what you put into the universe. If you're doing good, that good's going to come back to you.
I had a few years worth of bad days. Unfortunately. But fortunately, I came out on the other side. And I think a part of that was me getting in my shower every night when I didn't have a job for 10 months and thanking God for it before it even got here. Thank you, God, for the salary that I need, that I want to make beyond what I even need to make. Thank you, God, for this car that I want. Thank you, God, for my health. Thank you, God, for my family's health. Thank you, God, for all these. My sister needs a kidney. I'm thanking God in advance already, like for my sister's kidney, because I know it's gonna come. So just believing and having faith and being just in gratitude for those things that are coming that you can't even see yet. You got to see it before you see it, or you'll never see it. I try to like live by that too.
I can definitely relate to that because I'm more on the spiritual side as well. So I definitely will continuously bigging myself up. You know, I was very insecure growing up, but I had a quick mouth. So it was kind of just like, never knew, So I would definitely tell, so now I kind of like walk in confidence every single day. I think I've really grown into myself is that I've let go of, just kind of shielding myself and like saying like, oh, this is what I want. I want the 6'5". You got to make this much money. And it's just kind of like, we aim for things that we want and never what we need. And I'm going to sound so like a big mush when I say this, But I actually told him, the guy that I'm dating now, is like, I felt like when we met and we started dating each other, you were like, your heart kind of matched mine. And that is why I'm like, you know what, let me hold on to you a little longer. Let me see where this kind of goes. Instead of like,
That's so sweet.
like, thank you. Like, oh, he plays basketball. He got a nice booty. We could find somebody else that is mentally here with us, because a lot of them that's on that court that we think is like, oh my God, it ain't it.
Ain't it. And they think they it, and they not it.
That's a word.
And period. Like, we all have our different levels of confidence, but sometimes some people need a little humbling, and I've been humbled.
I feel like the way we think about ball players and what they think of themselves, that's what all men in Dallas think of themselves.
I can't.
And they could work at the bus stop.
In New York. New York.
So what's the proper social media protocol when you stop talking to someone? And that's on a scale of a failed talking stage all the way to a full-blown relationship.
If it didn't work out and it was amicable and you're like, you know what, we're just not compatible, then I think you guys can still be cool. Like, I don't mind if you follow me. I'm not going to fucking go out of my way to unfollow you. Now, if you piss me off or it was on bad terms, absolutely not. I don't want to look at you. I don't want you looking at me. I don't want any of that shit. Like, leave me the fuck alone.
Yeah.
And depending on how bad it was, I might block you. So, yeah. But I think if it's just like one of those situations where at our age, I feel like we just know, like, you know what, this isn't going to work. It was cool. We tried. Whatever. Just keep it moving. There's no bad blood.
I'm private, so I don't do I don't do all of that. Because I don't like people in my business. And should it fail, I don't want people out of my business. So I try to keep you would never know that I've ever talked to anybody based off of my page, because I just don't. We would have to be engaged. Like, you go see my engagement announcement. Because I don't do all of that.
If you met somebody and got pregnant before you got engaged, would you post them? If it was good, like if you were happy, you just hadn't gotten there yet. Like, what if you just met them?
Okay. Well, yeah, because hopefully we're talking about getting married at that point. So, yeah, maybe. But I mean, it would have to be like some solid shit where I know he's going to be in my life forever.
Okay.
Or we're planning on being together forever. You don't know shit, but planning on being in my life forever.
I think for me, I'll give you a perfect example, right? So this guy chased me for years. I even took my time dating him. Like the whole, remember the 3-month rule, guys? Remember that? I did that.
I never had it.
Got together and ended in 3 months. Right? So I let him continue to follow me, right? It wasn't bad blood. It was more so like, you just wasn't ready to take the next. That you just weren't there, which is fine. That is one rule for me. It doesn't have to be for everybody else. You could call me stubborn. I don't care. I'm not spinning the block. Because like I said before, you probably heard me the first time. So what makes you think, how do I know you're going to hear me the second time? It's just, I don't want to go through it. I'm just going to date somebody else. So what did he do? He got into a full-blown relationship. Like, it was all over social media. I was like, oh, okay. I was fine, right? Still followed him, double tap. I think they had got into it and they weren't speaking, but it was but you know how men are. Men are a little, just a tad bit slow. Some are slower than others. And I'm looking at the timeline. Long story short, he jumped in my DMs and invited me to a weekend trip. I said, I look dumb to you. Like, I was like, I moved on. Like, I didn't, but I moved on from you. And he's just like, oh, I didn't know we weren't friends. I was like, we're not. Plain and simple. Like, you can still follow me, but we don't have to be friends. Girl, he unfollowed me, removed me as a follower, and then went about his life, which was fine. I was just like, but I thought it was funny because it's kind of like, I told you know how I move. Like, when I'm dating you, I'm dating you. I'm not talking to these other folks. So I feel like he wasn't respecting that, because you know me for years. So now it's like, oh, you want to take me on a trip, which is a little crazy because you were just in a full-blown relationship about July 7, because I'm
tried it.
Right. You tried it. Now
He tried it. He was just trying to see if you were going to bite.
Hello. Yeah.
so he
And
can
I,
lead you astray.
exactly. And I didn't. I was like, I'm good.
Because I feel like if the relationship was really serious,
Hmm.
you need to cut off all communication. Like if you guys have been together for years and you like if you lived like if your lives were very heavily intertwined, I think you do need to cut off all communication and like not follow
Oh
them,
yeah.
because otherwise it makes it a lot harder to move on and kind of like just wrap your head around the fact that this person is no longer in your life. Like when you're constantly looking at them, that shit does not fucking help. If you, no matter if you guys moved on amicably, if it was fucked up, whatever the case may be, if that shit was serious, like a couple years, you guys were living together,
Yeah.
you were planning a life together, then no, I absolutely think like you have to completely like just
Cut it
cut
off.
them off.
I
Because that
agree.
shit will-
Sometimes not even just for you though, for them. I have an ex that wait just because he felt like he needed the access to me.
Mm.
I need to be able to call her. I want to call her. I want to do this. I want to do that. And we have mutual friends. So he would go to that friend and be like, well, what she got going on? What's she doing? Well, I just want to talk to her. I just want to do this. Like all kinds of and it's like, dude, you do not need access to me. You don't need to know what's going on in my life. You don't need to be my Facebook friend. You don't need to be my Instagram
Right.
friend. You had the chance to be a good person. And here we are. So like let it go. So sometimes you just gotta cut off communication for their asses because they seem to feel like they're entitled sometimes to you and to your energy. And no, absolutely not.
And they want to stick around because they know the type of woman you are. That's why they spend the block.
Absolutely.
They know what they
You
missed
better
out
know.
on. But you don't
Now
get
I
to
will spin the block once. I will.
Oh,
Depending
no.
on who it is. Now. Give me it depends on the
What kind of are
situation.
you like completely like what kind of spinning the block? Because there are different levels to spinning the block. Like, is it just are you
Right.
taking it
Now
back? Are you just having a good time? I
no,
won't take the
it would have to be a full spin the block.
oh no.
You got your shit together.
Yeah.
We on the
Yeah, no.
same page. But I'm not saying from a person that cheated, like say we were in a relationship, he cheated and it was a bad situation. Say we just weren't aligned at the time and he spends and then we decide to just go part ways. But then we see each other 2 years later and somebody spins the block. I'm okay with that. If
What?
we're aligned.
Have you found that men our age range share similar concerns or experiences? Like same issues that
Mhm.
we're having in dating? Are they saying the
Yeah.
same things?
I
Yeah.
think so. I think they just
Absolutely.
I think they just don't know how to express it.
Because like I said, I
I
did
don't believe it.
fellas, and I was just shocked. I was like, how do we have the same issues and the same concerns, a- and we fumbling in the same areas of dating? There is got what the disconnect?
I
Like,
think it's really hard to make yourself vulnerable these days because people are just
Yeah.
on some
ugh,
like either they want to like portray something for Instagram or they're like, oh, I need to find somebody. So they're just desperate for light. I think it's just being caught up in society. And then I also think that social media portrays like there's this stigma, like if you have a 9 to 5, that's a bad fucking thing. Bro, I love my nines. I love my benefits.
I do too.
I love my healthcare. I love knowing. I mean, granted, yes, I do have to work after hours, but like I feel like
Mhm.
there's this weird stigma that if you're not a business owner and if you don't make upper 6 figures and if you don't do that, then like you're not a man or you're not doing that's not the norm. Like, let's be realistic. That is not the fucking norm for most people in this country.
right.
First of
But
all, six figures can't get you shit in New York. I'm gonna tell you
yeah,
Not
that.
a thing. Okay.
yeah.
It can barely get you shit in
I
Dallas.
was gonna
So
say, yeah. But just I think that there's just a lot that gets lost in translation when it comes to our generation because we're that weird like husband is the provider and we saw it. It's not like something that we just heard on a fucking podcast like these 20-year-olds like, oh, the man is supposed to girl, your mom was fucking in the club with me. Like, sit the fuck down. Your dad is probably nowhere to be found. I do not want to hear that. You have never seen a man provide. But we've seen it. Like, it is different for our generation.
Yeah.
So it's weird because there's that whole stigma, but then at the same time, especially for us, it is hard for Black men unless you live in a place like DC or New York or some shit like that. But for most of the country, that's not the fucking norm. Like,
Yeah.
you're not going to find that. Like, it is really hard. So I think that there's just a lot of disconnect and ego and with social media
Trauma.
on and all of that other stuff.
trauma.
Yeah.
Trauma.
you have to, don't forget that trauma. They have childhood
Yeah.
trauma just like we do.
Yes. Yeah.
So it used to crack me up because I remember this guy told me I have daddy issues. I was like, well, you have mommy issues. Your mom is gone. And not in that way, because that was mean. But it's just like, you lost your mother and
Like, whoa.
you're treating like he's looking at me and like 3 other girls. I was like, you could keep that because I like my health.
Hello.
I had a nice
That
health,
part.
healthy build this up to this point. Like, no way. And I'm just
Right.
like, but you're treating us like you're just dating one of us, but you're treating us like, you know, we're disposable.
It's funny that you say that because I feel like I've noticed that with a lot of men. Like there's this desire, this need for women's attention because they lack that growing up.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So they're constantly like, they're getting it in every single place that they can. And it's just like, it's not even them coming from a bad place, but, or it's not like them trying to be like fucked up people, but like you said, it's coming from trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And like, maybe he didn't know how to deal, but I'm not a therapist. I don't want to sit here and console you about something I don't know.
I think that's the frustrating part when they can identify the root of the issue, but they don't want to deal with the issue. Because I dated a guy, this was some time ago, but that was his only thing. Like we had a great relationship, but boy, when something just clicked and just it kicked that childhood trauma and it came in full force. And it was just like ruin his whole day, ruin my day, because we are together, done killed our plans. And it's just like, no matter how many times I even found therapists for him, like, you know, like you just don't want to help yourself. And it's to the point where we both grown, baby. Like I can't make you want to do this for yourself. You gotta want to help.
Right.
Like you gotta want to help it. Because otherwise you're gonna be sitting in therapy just like, I'm just here for the sake of being here.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's
Right.
What did Marshawn Lynch say?
sad.
I'm just here so I don't get
My
fined.
boo, I love him too.
That's that energy. Like
that's a ball player I would take. Hey, Marshawn. Hey, boo. I got Badu energy out here, baby. Come on down.
I know that's right. Okay. All right, y'all. Before we get into the next segment, I need to know, what would you say your absolute deal breakers are, or some things that stick out as red flags during the dating phase that just make you feel like absolutely not, can't go no further?
I live in Baltimore, so I will say, if you sell drugs,
feels necessary.
there's like, if you do too much on social media, like if you're always posting like money or like you're doing this or doing that, like you don't need to entertain anybody for the gram.
Bunch of selfies.
Yeah.
I can't stand seeing a man.
Oh, no shirts. Like if you don't have, like if you're have like the no shirt on type shit on Instagram too, that's kind of weird, but it gives like thirsty. And another one, like I said, it's if you don't have kids, because I don't know how I feel about kids at this point, and I don't need you coming back.
It's a full-blown red flag, though.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, no, because I feel like no, because I feel like men will say one thing and then 5 years later be like, oh, I want a kid. And then it's like, so I've just invested 5 years of my life. Like I'm 45 or what, 43 at that point, but like I've just invested all this time and now you decide you want a kid. And that can be a deal breaker, and that's serious. Like there's no coming back from that. Like there's no gray in that. So I don't need you coming to me like, oh, well, you told me you didn't want a kid, but then they can say that. And then what do I say? There's no argument. I can't do this for you. So obviously, where are we? Like, what is the option? The only option is okay, I just have to start fucking over because you woke up one morning like, hey, I want a baby. That
because you said you don't know if you want to have a kid or not, right?
Yeah, no, and exactly, I don't know, but I'm teetering more on the, like, I'm not gonna make an effort to have a baby at this point. I'm not looking for somebody to have a baby. I'm not stressing myself about it. If it doesn't, I'm not, like, I feel like I have friends that have had kids because I felt like that was what they were supposed to do, and they're fucking miserable. I'm not going to just meet somebody tomorrow like, you're fine as fuck, because even the dude I'm talking to now, he's beautiful, like, he would make great looking babies. He's great with kids. I'm not about to fucking procreate just because, you know what, you'd make great kids. And then I'm stuck here like, what the fuck did I just do? You can't come back from that. So I'm okay with Yeah, like I'm okay with
Whatever
that.
happens.
Yeah. I'm not forcing that.
I get that. No, that's a real ass. I understand now more because I'm kind of on the fence with that too. Like as much as I would love to be a mother.
Exactly. No. And that's not to say I don't think I'd be a great mom too, but I'm not going to.
But that has to be communicated too. You know, like marriage is a business deal. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care how you piece it. You know, it's a little harder to leave. And I hate when they say it's cheaper to keep, but it's cheaper to keep him too. Because maybe I want to get him the fuck out of here. But
Hello?
when there's a kid involved. But that's why I'm like, I'm pro like prenup. Like you protect yourself at all costs. I'll even put that in. Like, listen, if I don't want a kid, make sure you sign down that dotted line. You don't want to include it. Fuck it. They include everything else.
That's one of mine. I don't like guys who, I think I said this earlier, just basically piggybacking off of that. Guys who aren't accountable for their actions.
That's a good one.
Do a lot of finger pointing. She was this, my mom was that. Women ain't shit. All of that. Like, I don't like that kind of energy. You are negative and I ain't got it for you. Beat it. I don't like that. And I don't like men who are like loud and boisterous. I like a low-key man. I'm usually on about 8. So I need to be a solid 3. So that we can limit somewhere. Because when I want to be chill, when I am chill, I'm chill, like super chill. Right. And so I like a man who, I also like a man who just doesn't like to be on the scene and just wants to just be chill. He doesn't have a big social media. He's not all over taking pictures of himself and got his business everywhere. Just relax. He goes to work. He comes home to me. And that's it. I like them kind of men.
I'm going to piggyback off of you, right? So I'm definitely on 10. Like, I love to dance. I love to go out. I love to be in the scene. So one of my ex-boyfriends, they, you know, because I'm such a vibrant person, I love meeting new people, I love being outside. I was dimming my light when I was with him.
Before.
And, you know, I think, you know, obviously we're younger, but my friends seen it. They seen what I didn't see. You know, I thought this is what I was supposed to do. And I just wasn't me. And then I started feeling like, damn, I'm really not me. Like, I want to be on a dance floor, you know, Harlem shaking and shit with my friends, but I know he doesn't like that. Or I don't want to embarrass him and stuff like that. So now it's just like, listen, this is how I am 24/7. So I need that balance.
I will go anywhere and I will have fun. Like Tasha can tell you, I will go to a fucking go-go, I'll go to a rave, and then I'll go to the fucking trap house and I will have a fucking ball. I will exactly. And I will make friends and like be invited to somebody's mom's house and then have somebody coming over for a sleepover. Like, so I need somebody who's really secure with themselves and who I can take anywhere. Cause I really need you to be with the shits. Like, I need to be able to walk out the door and be like, whatever happens, happens, and be okay and comfortable in those environments.
He has to be able to accept you in all different spaces and like walk with you in confidence. Like if I'm coming home to you, there shouldn't be no conversation like, or why you're upset because I'm out on the dance floor, you know? So that's definitely a big red flag. So I understood that one completely.
Right.
And another one, I hate when someone's on their phone and we're on a date.
I can't stand it.
It's like, I will cut it off. Like, then this is why I'm so used to like, I have that's probably another toxic trait. I detach very easily. Like it's more so like, okay, I'm out kind of thing. But if they're on your phone, it's like, are we having dinner or you want to call the person that you're talking to? Maybe they could join us and then I'll have your attention.
You said that might be a toxic trait that you detach so soon, but I think that's just like, I wish I detached.
I wish.
Yeah.
Yes, me too.
I feel like once I get like once I let my guard down, if you get me to let my guard down, I'm in.
Yeah, I'm in.
Because clearly I'm still single, so none of that shit worked out. So that I took a lot of L's, you know? And I could have prevented that.
Silently. But you know, you're not taking, that's another thing, you got to change your mindset. You're not taking L's, you're saving yourself.
These are lessons. These are lessons. We'll say, because each situation.
How many lessons we gonna get?
I'm gonna say, I'm a fucking scholar. Like the fuck?
PhD in this joint. Okay.
We got PhD, 3 of them.
I could write an Encyclopedia Britannica. Like it's
3
not.
apiece. I mean, honestly, I'm tired
Right.
of the lessons now, damn it. And I done told God, look, bruh. And that's how I talk to God. I'm sorry. I'm like, hey, listen, dog. I'm tired.
Okay, wait.
What we
So
doing? I need you to pull up on me.
One time.
I was at a funeral and the preacher said something that was really just like it hit
Yeah.
home. And he was saying after he says amen, and he was like, on top of that, he would say, through faith, consider it done. It really spoke to me.
Yeah, it's true. It's like, you know, when you're wishing for that job, or, you know, we're waiting for that man to come, it's like, it's already done. So you just have to keep that faith and keep, you know, throwing them prayers up, because them blessings are going to come down regardless. You just have to make sure your mindset is always there to make sure to be ready to receive them.
Yeah.
Right. That is a prayer of mine. I
Mhm.
pray that I am ready to receive him when he does arrive.
You better be open to receive all of them, all your blessings that's coming to you, because you could still be shielding yourself to the person, or, you know, your list, right, of the things that you want, instead of opening to what your heart needs.
My list has 3 things on it. It's like use a knife and fork properly, and know how to the difference between there, and there. Like that's literally what my list
Very
is.
important. Woo.
Mine is be
Like-
black.
As well, add that to the list. Woo. Lord.
Like I just need you
My
to know
list
how to
is
use a
be
knife and
black.
fork.
That's it.
And
No, don't say that's it. Don't say that's it.
Well, that's not it. But be black. That's the top of the list. That's all I ask, God.
Let's play the red flag game. So I'm going to
Oh,
read you
hell.
5 scenarios, and you just tell me if this would be a red flag for you or a deal breaker, or if you like it, you with it. Okay, so first scenario. Would it be a red flag if your date consistently avoids introducing you to their friends or family?
but my parents, like even before then, they were like, we don't want to meet anybody until you're engaged. Like that's what they told me. And I know all of his family. I have an amazing relationship with all of his family. And he kind of was put off by it. But I was like, this isn't my request. This is my parents. Like, I'm not that close to, I'm my mother's only child. I have no family in America besides my mom. Like all of my family is in Europe or the Caribbean. So I don't have like that close sense of family that most people do. So when I do introduce you to my family, it's like it's real. I've only introduced 2 people to my family, and I was with one person for almost 10 years and the other person for 5. So for me,
Dang.
if you don't do that, then I'm okay with it. Like I need to know that it's really, really serious. So that's not a red flag to me. I really don't give a fuck because I'm probably not going to introduce you to my friends and family.
We've been dealing for like 9 months to a year. I would expect to meet his family, but I'm very particular about my family too. I have a big family, and my family's super close. You bring somebody around, child, they are part of the family too, and then they don't go away. Like so, I just, even if you've broken up, like my family, they halfway don't have boundaries. So when it comes to that kind of thing, it would have to be super duper serious for me to feel comfortable enough to bring them around mine. But you know, if they wanted to introduce me to theirs at 3, 4, 6, 3 months is a push. 6 months, maybe.
Okay.
9, 10 months. Okay, let's
A
see what your
year,
family got going on.
a year.
Yeah,
I feel like a year is good. I feel like
yeah,
you've
yeah.
seen people in their kind of seasons, and like you've seen them in different situations.
Mm-hmm.
So
After
you
a
know
year,
whether or
for
not if
sure.
you guys aren't together, like you're still gonna be friendly, like
Mm-hmm.
have an idea. But you don't know somebody in 3, 6
3 months.
months. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
I didn't introduce anybody besides like my little high school boyfriend, because I dated the same little boy from first day of high school to the last day of high school. So
You would.
but from then they didn't mean anybody
Same
until
little
I was
boy.
like 32. So, and I feel like I made the mistake of introducing him too early, because I guess I just got excited
Who
because
did they meet?
I haven't been before. Child, you don't even know this nigga because he lasted 5 minutes.
Oh God.
But right.
See, yeah.
He's the one who had the trauma. But I feel like I made the mistake of introducing him too soon. And then when it was over, it was everybody missing. What you said, girl, you're not gonna worry me about what every 5 minutes.
You're
Yeah.
not gonna worry.
That that
Right.
killed me.
And even
No,
my daddy, like real low key, like he slided up in there. So what's going on with you and that boy? Nothing, daddy. Nothing. Ain't nothing to talk about. So we ain't doing that anymore until like we for sure. Like, and we were in a relationship. We were in a relationship, but it was very fast-paced relationship. But still, I don't think I would do that until like we in it for a minute. Like,
right.
That's valid.
Yeah.
Time to be hearing what he at, child.
Yeah.
Woo!
Right, girl. Listen, we gotta be together.
If your date frequently cancels plans at the last minute without a valid reason, would that be a red flag?
Absolutely.
Fuck out of here. I'm a
Bye.
pull a Danny.
Gotta
I'm
go.
not calling you. I'm yeah.
Ghosting.
That's one of them ghost moves. I'm out of here. Nope.
I might unfollow you for that. Like,
I'm blocking
clearly
your
you
ass
don't
on
care.
everything.
So
Good night.
I don't either.
You
Good
don't
night.
like you said, you don't care, and you're very inconsiderate of my time.
Yeah.
Like
Absolutely.
Like, I don't want to be friends with somebody like that. Like, if my girlfriend
Nope.
did that to me, I wouldn't consider that a friend. And I think as I've gotten older, I start to put men on the same kind of, like, I start to compare their behavior to those of my friends. Like, how would I feel if my girlfriend did this to me? I'm not rocking with that. So why the fuck should I let you do that when my girlfriend is gonna fucking sit there and wipe my tears?
Okay.
Right.
Is it a red flag if your date frequently talks negatively about their exes or past relationships?
Yep.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Why are we talking about your ex?
That was exactly what I was gonna say. Even why are you even talking about her?
Just
unless I ask, and that's like first date question.
Right.
I don't need to
Right.
know 3, 4, 5 months from now. She got to be dead, like the relationship.
Right. Act like we need to have a funeral for her because she's gone.
Who are we talking about again? Like,
The
I don't
ex.
I don't disturb the dead, so I don't know what that means.
No, I'm sorry. I'm just saying, have a funeral for her name so she can. We'll just be out of there. Have a funeral
She
for
was
the
never
relationship.
born.
Put that thing in a box.
She was never born.
Put that thing in a box and bury it.
I don't know what it is.
Okay, so if your date constantly interrupts or talks over you during conversations, would that be a red flag?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
No explanation needed. Yes.
Yeah.
No. Yes.
Fix. Would it be a red flag if your person doesn't share your love language? So, for example, if you're a physical touch person, but they don't like to be touched or like to show affection, would that be a deal breaker for you?
If we have had the conversation and I express it like whatever my love language is, and they don't make an effort to at least try to love me in that language, then yeah. But if I don't say anything, then no, because they don't fucking know that.
Right. Bingo. Communication is key.
Yeah. And so is detachment.
Hello?
Because they heard you the first time.
You heard me the first time.
Oh my God.
You should change the name of this episode to that.
But no, you have to learn that person's love language and you have to compromise.
Right.
They're not going to sit there and actually put the time into like, learn you. Then it's like, again, that's because you heard it the first time. Maybe the second, I might, if I really like it, you get a second, third try. And then after that, it's just like, all right.
Okay. You're not listening.
Last segment, y'all. This is the part in the show where we turn the tables. So I've been asking y'all questions all night long. So y'all get to ask me a question that I must answer. And let's talk about it. Or something that maybe came up during the conversation that y'all want to circle back to.
I feel like you know all of us well enough. And based on what you know about us, what do you feel our red flags are? Like, where do you feel like we are failing when it comes to relationships?
For you, I feel like you are very nurturing to a point where you'll just get too stuck in that role. And it's like you become a second mama. And that's a grown-ass man, baby.
I agree.
You gotta function like a man, baby. So I think that's it. But I feel like you're not in that same realm. But let's see, Danny. I mean, I feel like because we're both Aries.
Right. You could actually take last year's Danny. Right. Because I feel like I'm a different bitch this year.
I know that's right.
But I remember we was doing a lot of venting last year. So you could take last year, Danny.
Sure. Like you're fully aware of what wasn't working. and you're applying that so that it does, and you're giving niggas a chance. So that's a thing.
It was difficult, but yeah.
Baby steps.
Because I think I was telling Tasha I was cutting niggas off left and right. Like, yeah.
That's right.
I forgot who I told you about. Like who? Like
Oh,
what?
he was at a party. He was at a party.
Right.
And he on his no more. So
I be
I know
forgetting.
that.
I'm like,
I've done that too.
yeah.
Like, who?
I mean,
Which
'cause
one?
sometimes that's the hard part. That's like sticking in it. Like, because it's funny, because one of the guys in the conversation, he used the analogy of like being on a roller coaster, like you tick, 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 you get your first situation and you hit that drop and you out. You know what I mean? Like you don't want to see what comes next. It might level out. It might be like a whoo, you
yeah.
know,
Right.
but you don't know because you out. You know,
Right.
so
Right.
I feel like
That's real.
that's real progress. We like that.
Girl.
Congrats.
Mia,
Oh, chill.
not Ocha. I feel like it's hard because I feel like you're very open, you're very receptive, like you're ready. I just wonder if you're making yourself as available for somebody to find you
She's
because
on Hinge. What the fuck else is she supposed to do?
Hinge.
Thank you, Jack.
Let me say this about Hinge. Let me say this about Hinge. Hinge is a setup. Hinge is, especially in
Absolutely
major
a
cities.
setup.
I see Black men on Hinge in Atlanta, New York, or Dallas, places where you could go out to a place and meet somebody in real life. I kind of feel like that's an easy playground for you, and you just gonna stack
it.
them up because they're there because they want somebody. So now you kind of feel like that's easy pickings, as opposed to you see somebody at a bar, you don't know if they're single, you don't know their situation, you got to go engage them to find out. But on Hinge, you could be like, yep, 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 and have
Nope.
you
Nope.
on your
Nope.
But I'm saying, like, I feel like they
nope.
use it. It's like
Nope.
like they prey on women on these apps.
Right.
Because
Right.
I was just telling my homegirl, she was up here visiting from Atlanta, and I was like, girl, if a nigga is on Hinge in Atlanta, Atlanta got all the places to go. Why are you? Why? Something is wrong. Unless you telling me you work 6 days a week and you just don't leave the house.
Right.
But I feel like they're gonna be on Match.com if that's the case. Like they're actually gonna spend the $36 a month for that.
Right?
Right.
So
Right.
it feels like
Right.
it's
Well, he's charging.
like you're praying. And every time I get on it, I see the same people.
The same people. Girl, I'm so
So that tells
tired.
me this shit ain't working because you still here, first of all.
Right.
Right.
Bingo. That part. And I know men who are in relationships that still got their profiles just in case.
Girl, ooh.
Not
Girl,
just in case.
Christ.
The fact that you said that, because you know how you can link your Instagram to it. So
You
there's this
can?
one guy, yes, there's this one guy that I know through somebody that I was, I don't want to say dating, went on a date with or two. And I met him while we were out. So, but I always see him on a dating app, and I always see him on Hinge. And I don't know if he forgot that his Instagram was linked to his profile, because he updated his profile with the picture that he clearly took on his honeymoon,
Stupid.
but forgot that it was linked to his Instagram when he got his wedding picture.
Dumb. Just dumb.
I told you they're fucking stupid.
And crazy part is, I'm
Dumb
sure
stupid.
this guy is probably still getting matches. Like that probably deterred nothing.
Nothing.
It's
Lord.
it's
Nothing.
it's wild out here in these streets.
It is wild out here. It's super wild out here.
Okay, that's a question. What do you think my issue is? You know me the longest. What you think my issue is, girl? Tell me, because I need to know.
I feel like you're a Danny. I feel like sometimes you give up too easy. But then also you had the crazy, like, I feel like you could have written a fucking book about your dating life. Like, I have never met anybody where they, like, I would be like, my friend Tasha, just let her tell you about dates. And like, her dates would be like some shit that would be on a fucking, like, telenovela. Like, just like, and that happened. And then that happened. Like, her dates were just fucking shit shows. So, but I feel like I feel like you, at times, like, you've given up too early. But then I think about certain things and I'm like, but she really didn't. Like, they were really like deal breakers.
They were.
Yeah.
There's not a single, let me not say that. There's probably 2 guys that I've dated. I was just like, yeah, we could do that again. Everybody else can go.
So for Tasha, since moving to a new city, what do you think is the most difficult part of dating in New York?
All of it. All of it. Like,
Narrow it down. Narrow it down.
listen, when I left DC, I thought DC was a shit show. I thought DC was a tragedy. And now I gotta apologize to these men because I didn't know it could get this low. Like, at least in DC, if I went out, somebody was gonna approach me and buy me a drink. I've been here 3 solid years, and I can tell you 2 times when a man has approached me to buy me a drink, and then one I bought me a drink and left. He didn't even want to talk, and I was like, "Damn, I want to where you go?" Like, I'm like
So his wife.
excited that I might just be meeting somebody in person for once, right? And here you go. So I feel like, and I didn't expect that it would be so difficult to meet men here. Like, it's very hard. And even when you do, you see somebody you're interested in, they just look at you all night. They just look at you. You give them the eye, you give them the like, it's okay now. All night. They just gonna stare at you. Just gonna stare at you. That's it.
It's interesting, right? Because as a native New Yorker, I look at everyone that's transplants that come here and they always find love like this.
What?
So
That's how I feel about Dallas.
Somebody gotta tell me the secret because I ain't found it. Oh my God.
but you know what? I think also if you change up your environment, because listen, if I didn't change my environment, I definitely would have met this guy. Like, and
Where did you meet him?
At a wedding.
Oh, at a wedding.
I thought you were gonna say like Whole Foods or something. The
Yeah,
fuck? You have to
right.
get invited
Wait
to
a
a
minute,
wedding.
sis.
Something that
I'm
you
terrified of marriage.
Oh.
got it.
Yeah, like I come from a fam. Like my mom has been married 4 times, but my mom literally got married at 17 to get off of like St. Thomas. Like she did not want to be there. She has 9 sisters. 4 of her sisters married 4 brothers from a family of 12.
Shit.
They got married at 16. They're 70 years old. Like you do not get divorced in my family once. Besides my mother, like in my family, you do not get divorced. You stay with them through all kinds of shit. And they're very traditional Caribbean people. Why? Like I respect my mom for getting divorced, but at the same time, I know my mom has not. Like my mom comes from nothing. Like literally nothing. My mother grew up in a shack, and she was one of those women that was just really beautiful, and she rode that shit. Like she has never worked. She's always been kept. So I've seen both sides of it. Like I've seen my aunts who love their husbands and have been in there forever. And then I see my mom who has never paid a fucking bill in her life and has just rode the fact that she was pretty. So to me, marriage is just like, I'm terrified of marriage. I have a lot of childhood trauma.
As long as you're working on it.
Okay, we all
Yeah.
That's it. That's all that matters.
we all got something.
If you're comfortable, you and your partner are comfortable in that space, that's fine. My grandparents didn't get married until I was in junior high school. So please, when I tell you, don't like that. That's why the society, oh, you gotta be married, you gotta be engaged. Like my mother's very old school, but I'm like, Ma, you had a child out of wedlock. Like let's all calm down. You know what I mean? Like it's not that serious. My mother went to a wedding because I was the firstborn, first to go to college, all of that. So she's like, oh, we're gonna have this and that. I'm trying to elope. Okay. Yeah. I'm gonna go to a courthouse and probably text it like, yo, y'all wanna pull up? That's me.
Yeah, I'll have a cookout or something. That's perfect. But that $30 that I would put myself in debt, I would put that towards my mortgage. Like I can get new floors, a new kitchen, other shit.
Right.
That's so funny. If all of us did it, we waited this long to do it. Nobody's like, yeah, I want to have a big blowout wedding. That's so interesting. Because I want to be real low.
I don't want any of that shit.
No, but I was like that in my 20s. I want to elope. I don't want the attention.
Yeah.
As much as I love to get dressed up and stuff like that, but I feel like
it's very intimate. If it could just be me and him and somebody else and then we go have a fucking cookout, that'd be great. But when I actually vow to God, like this is my person, I don't need anybody there. Like that is not for everybody.
And I think a lot of these kids lost the concept of marriage. They think it's an Instagram show. It's not, I think that's why
Instagram dead.
Right. That's why I think I'm like, I'll text the group chat. Yo, y'all want to pull up tomorrow? I'm gonna get married real
Right.
quick.
Wait, Tasha, can I ask you one more question?
Yeah, girl.
Was there any significant difference that you felt that you noticed between like us and the boys?
Everything that they felt like the women that they were dating weren't taking accountability for, or the things that they were experiencing, everybody's taking accountability for. Like, they're very aware that they're doing these things, right?
Mhm.
And now knowing that I did this and I want to do better, and they did the same thing. But I think that was the biggest thing about the stories they were telling about these women, because I kept asking, like, who are y'all dating? Like, how old are they? Like, are they in their 20s? Like,
I mean, oh,
and they're like, no, we dating our age. And I was like, fascinating. But now we've been talking, and I was just like, okay, I can kind of see it. A little bit, how they
A
might
little
be
toxic.
experiencing certain things on the flip side. You know what I mean? Ladies, thank you so much for hanging out with me this evening. If you want to share with the people how they can find you on the internet, so they can maybe slide into DMs, it's your chance. Why don't we start with you, Mia, Miss B Wavy?
you can find me at BEE_wavy, WAVY. I also curate playlists. You can find those at Sincerely Saturday. So either one of those, you can find me Instagram. I don't have TikTok. I don't do Facebook. So
You can find me on Instagram at I_check_other__. Twitter, it's I_check_other.
You can find me on Instagram, slim_sass. I'm very sassy in any and everything I do. Don't jump in my DMs because I'm not interested.
just exclusively dating people.
Period. I'm figuring it out. That's it.
Complicated.
Right. So we're just going to keep it. Well, let's keep it cute.
Oh, that's right. And that does it for this episode. So please be sure to download Secrets of the Opposite Sex, the app, subscribe to the podcast, like and comment on the episode on YouTube. We'll see you next time.